How abuse of power becomes toxic, part 2. So when it comes to managing power, it is not for the faint of heart. And just like freedom comes with great responsibility, power also comes with great responsibility. We abuse power when we do not have a strong sense of self. And when we are sure of who we are and who we belong to and where we are, right, where we're going, we're not so keen on using our power to be over someone rather than to be with them, as in collaboration and working on a team, right? And so power over means that you're using your power to control, right? And you want to gain the upper hand and get whatever it is you want or want performed done. You want other people to be just like you at all costs. And that means you're saying this by any means necessary, basically, right? You're minimizing things, right? You're invalidating people. You're gaslighting, right? You're deflecting, you're projecting, you're manipulating, you're doing whatever it takes in order for you to be able to what? Get what you want or get whatever it is you want performed, right? To get that done, right? And this is all a part of the viper spirit. And the viper spirit stems from emotional immaturity. And that consists of a lack of sense of self. When you don't know who you are deep down to your core, it makes you feel uncomfortable around other people who do. It's not their fault, nor is it their responsibility to help you or anyone else gain a sense of self. That is part of self-discovery work. However, when it comes to emotionally immature individuals, they don't want to do the work, and that's part of the problem. They don't believe that there's anything wrong with them. And if they just so happen to admit a thing or two in their moments of so-called vulnerability, right? 9 times out of 10, because they're lacking self-awareness, they're not going to do anything about it. I'll just pray more. I'll just keep praying. I'll just keep praying. I'll just keep praying. I'm going to do better. I need to do better, right? Prayer is essential. And we all need to do more of it, right? Neither one of us are like doing better or worse than the other as far as when it comes to prayer. We all need to pray more, right? At the same time, just praying is not going to get the self-discovery work done, period. It's not going to get it done, right? And so what happens is that people will abuse and use their power when it comes to positions of vulnerability, right? Just say, for instance, the aunt being powerful and controlling over the niece, the uncle being powerful and controlling over the nephew, right? The mother being powerful and controlling over the daughter, right? The father being powerful and controlling over the son, right? Grandmother and grandfather being powerful and controlling over the grandchildren, right? The police over the citizens, right? Bosses over their subordinates, right? Abuse of power always becomes toxic with manipulation. Whenever manipulation is involved, abuse of power becomes toxic. And then free will is removed from the individual, right? You know you have free will and it's intact when someone tries to control you and have power over you and you find yourself resisting. That's how you know what the way we were created and designed is working, right? Emotionally immature people in general do not realize that other people have their own sense of self, their own sense of autonomy, their own sense of agency, that those things are necessary, right? And their own sense of safety. They think that what they've got is what they've got going on with themselves and their proclivities, etc. That's everybody else's makeup, right? God did not create clones. We are uniquely, and as David mentioned, fearfully and wonderfully made. We are uniquely and specifically designed, right? No two fingerprints are alike, and not even when it comes to twins, right? But they think that all I have to do is manipulate, right? Triangulate, deceive, invalidate, minimize, gaslight, and I can get what I want. But guess what? And I don't even have to let the other person know what I'm doing. But because of the emotional immaturity existing, they don't realize they're not pulling the wool over anybody else's eyes except for their own, right? That's the only person's eyes is having the wool pulled over their own. It's not the other individual. Because what happens when you're dealing with emotionally immature individuals, because they're always operating at the age of 3 to 16 years old at all times, if they are dealing with trying to misuse and abuse their power over an emotionally mature individual, it's going to come out leaking all over the place. They don't realize it because there's a lack of self-awareness. However, the emotionally mature individual would know it right off the bat. And it's like, yeah, I see what you're doing. You think I'm stupid. I see what you're doing. I'm not going to even go there, right? And so what happens is that they fail to see and understand that their patterns of behavior, their dysfunctional patterns of behavior are easy to spot. And it's obvious to the emotionally mature individual, right? And like I said, this is because of the arrested development. This is because of the lack of self-awareness. This is because of the emotional and mental deficiencies that exist, right? And so what happens is that they will try to pull us in the mud with them. And it's like, no, I'm not getting in the mud with you. You can stay there and you can put your rain boots on and you can play in the mud and you can get all nasty and muddy and dirty with whatever it is you want to say, you know, or the lack thereof, but I'm not getting in the mud with you, right? And so when it comes to children and emotionally abusive parents, right? When it comes to their parents, they abuse their power, right? Because they can get their kids to do whatever it is that they want them to do, right? By denying food, denying clothes, denying shelter, just denying the basic needs, right? And emotional, mental, physical safety, just to get the child to do what it is they want to do, right? Because children love their parents no matter what it is they're doing. It's like they love them, and at the same time, even when they're getting abused, they still love them. And it's this push and pull because it's like, okay, I need you to provide all these things for me. And then at the same time, you are hurting me, right? That's tripped out. That's a trip on, that's a whole head trip, so to speak, right? And so what happens is that when it comes to adults who are emotionally immature, a lot of times they like to punish their children by not talking to them, right? They go through this punishment thing. Well, I'm just not going to talk to you because you didn't do what I wanted you to do. I'm not going to talk to you. I'll punish you by not talking to you, to stonewall you. Why? Because you didn't let me override your boundaries, because I'm your mama or because I'm your daddy. But that doesn't make any sense, right? But that's how they feel, right? I get to disrespect you. I get to dishonor you. I get to invalidate, devalue, right? Deceive you, manipulate, gaslight, all of it because I am your parent. And they think this because emotionally immature people like to emotionally enmesh with you. That means they believe because of the role that they play in your life, they have what? The right to do whatever it is they want to do, but the devil is a liar, right? And so what happens is that adult children and any human being needs to be able to feel, think, and to freely move about the world without having their parents to dictate to them what it is that they should be doing with their lives. And emotional enmeshment, like I said, that enmeshment, it basically means that this is the role I play. This is the power and authority that comes with that role. I'm going to use it to do what I want to do against you, right? And so what happened is that Rebecca abused her power as Jacob's mother. In Genesis 27, it says, and Rebecca, and I'm starting at the 5th verse, And I'm going to read all the way down to the 17th verse. And Rebekah heard when Isaac spake to Esau, his son. And Esau went to the field to hunt for venison and to bring it. And Rebekah spake unto Jacob, her son, saying, Behold, I heard thy father speak unto Esau, thy brother, saying, Bring me venison and make me savory meat that I may eat, and bless thee before the Lord before my death. Now, therefore, my son, obey my voice. And this is a 40-something-year-old man, according to that which I command thee. Go now to the flock and fetch me from thence 2 good kids of the goats, and I will make them savory meat for thy father, such as he loveth. And thou shalt bring it to thy father, that he may eat, and that he may bless thee before his death. And Jacob said to Rebekah, his mother, Behold, Esau, my brother, is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man. My father peradventure will feel me, and I shall see to him as a deceiver. And I shall bring a curse upon me, and not a blessing. And his mother said unto him, Upon me be thy curse. My son, only obey my voice, and go fetch me them. And he went and fetched and brought them to his mother, and his mother made savory meat, such as his father loved. And Rebekah took goodly raiment of her eldest son Esau, which were with her in the house, and put them upon Jacob, her younger son. And she put the skins of the kids of the goats upon his hands, and upon the smooth of his neck. And she gave the savory meat and the bread, which she had prepared, into the hand of her son Jacob. Now here you got an over 40-year-old man. He could not make the decision to opt out of his mother's identity theft plan, manipulation, and deception tactics. She convinced him by telling him that she would take all of the blame, right? But since when have God allowed grown people to do what? To take the sacrifice and take the punishment for some other grown person's sins. The only person that's done that has been Jesus, and none of us are him, right? There's only one person who's done that. And like I said, we are not Jesus. We all have to pay the price. We all have to pay the price and consequences of our own sins and our own lives. And then you have Laban, Rebekah's brother, who abused his power over Jacob, right? As his uncle, as Jacob's uncle. Jacob being a nephew. And he was what? Jacob was also his employee. He deceived him to work for the wrong woman, right? He deceived Jacob into working for the wrong woman. And in scripture it says, and Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed unto him but a few days, for the love he had to her. And Jacob said unto Laban, Give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go in unto her. And Laban gathered together all the men of the place and made a feast. And it came to pass in the evening that he took Leah his daughter and brought her to him, and he went in unto her. And Laban gave unto his daughter Leah Zilpah his maid for an handmaid. And it came to pass that in the morning, behold, it was Leah. And he said to Laban, What is this that thou hast done unto me? Did not I serve with thee for Rachel? Wherefore then hast thou beguiled me? And Laban said, It must not be so done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn. He knew that when he first made the agreement with Jacob. And Jacob did, fulfill her week, and we will give thee this also for the service which thou shalt serve with me yet another 7 years. And Jacob did so and fulfilled her week, and he gave him Rachel, his daughter, to wife also. And Laban gave to Rachel his daughter Bilhah, his handmaid, to be her maid. And he went in also unto Rachel, and he loved also Rachel more than Leah, and served with him yet 7 other years. Right? And so also what happened is that Laban changed Jacob's wages 10 times. And in Genesis 31, we got proof of that. It says, And Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah to the field unto his flock, and said unto them, I see your father's countenance that is not towards me as before, but the God of my father hath been with me, and ye know that with all my power I have served your father. There's the word power there. Please let them know, with all the power I had, I did nothing but good to your father, right? He said, and your father have deceived me and changed my wages 10 times, but God suffered him not to hurt me. So he knew that he could have been hurt in this situation. He realized that. He thought he was running from Esau, but he also had an uncle who was worse than Esau. If he said thus, the speckle shall be thy wages, and all the cattle bear speckle. And if he said thus, the ring straight shall be thy hire, then bear all the cattle ring straight. Thus God hath taken away the cattle of your father and giving them to me. And it came to pass at the time that the cattle conceived that I lifted up mine eyes and saw in a dream, and behold, the rams which leaped upon the cattle were ring straight, speckled, and grizzled. And then when you go down, he says in verse 14, and Rachel and Leah answered and said unto him, is there yet any portion or inheritance for us in our father's house? So they're like, well, what happened to our part, right? And then it says, are we not counted of him strangers? For he hath sold us and have quite devoured also our money. For all the riches which God had taken from our father, that is ours and our children's. Now then, whatsoever God hath said unto thee, do. So they're like, whatever you decide is best, go ahead and do it, because he took our money too. You worked for him and he didn't give us anything. So whatever you decide, that's basically what they were saying. It says, then Jacob rose up and set his sons and his wives upon camels. And he carried away all his cattle, all his goods, which he had gotten, the cattle of his getting, which he had gotten in Padanaram, for to go to Isaac his father in the land of Canaan. He knew, okay? Laban knew his nephew didn't have a place to live and was on the run for his life from his brother Esau, who had a murderous spirit. He knew that. He manipulated the situation when Jacob got ready to leave, right? By making it seem like they were operating from the same spirit and that he received true divination from the Lord, that he was blessed because of Jacob being there. Anybody on the outside could look at that situation and tell. You didn't need any type of spirit to know that he didn't have anything before Jacob came. And once Jacob got there and started working for him, that's when he started making money. Anybody could see that, right? That was neither here nor there. But in Genesis 30, it says what? And it came to pass when Rachel had borne Joseph that Jacob said unto Laban, send me away that I might go into my own place, into my country. He realized it's time to get out of here, right? This is going too far. I can, if I'm going to be causing people to be blessed, I need to go on and bless myself and my own wife and kids, right? Why am I sitting here making you wealthy and I'm not gaining anything from it, right? That's when he said, give me my wives and my children for whom I've served thee, and let me go. But thou knowest my service, which I have done to thee. He already told him, like, basically, I've done nothing but good. Like he told, Jacob had told his wife, I've done nothing but everything in my power to do what your father wanted. And guess what? It still wasn't good enough. And when it comes to narcissistic people, it's never going to be enough. And so what happens is that just to make Jacob believe that he was some type of spiritual person, that's when Laban tried to convince him to stay on and do what he wanted him to do, right? He needed Jacob as supply. Laban was addicted to getting something for nothing. And he had a using addiction, and he had a greed addiction, and he had a hoarding addiction, right? People will tell you anything to get what they want, right? And it's like to get what they want and to get you to do what they want you to do, right? And you looking like, I'm not stupid. What do you think this is? I'm not boo boo the fool. I know what you're doing, right? The old prophet did the same thing with the man of God. The man of God was getting ready to be tested. He was tested for level 3 of his calling to see if he can complete that task to be elevated, right? The old prophet convinced him to go back to his house with him. And God had already told him 3 things: no eating in this place, no drinking, no going back the way you came. The man of God, only thing he had to do was tell the old prophet, only thing he had to do was tell the man of God that an angel told him that he was to go back with him. And instead of the man of God consulting the Lord like he did for everything else and repeating what the Lord said, he listened to him, right? He let that python spirit have his way, right? And so the man of God was operating, not the man of God, but the old prophet was operating from the spirits of manipulation, deception, viper, and python. Python follows you. The man of God followed him first, right? And then it makes it seem like you got something similar. You operate from the same thing. It's like, yeah, I got the Holy Spirit, but baby, I don't know what spirit you got operating in you, right? And so the man of God ended up being devoured by Satan, by that roaring lion in a forest, right? Some open field on his way back home. He never made it home, right? The old prophet used and abused his power to get the man of God, the young prophet, to do what he wanted to do, for him to do, in order to destroy his calling, right? What will you allow people to do? How far will you allow it to go in order for that person to make you do what it is they want you to do, and then them to think that you don't know what they're doing, right? You don't have to be manipulated by your family. You don't have to be manipulated by your boss, and you don't have to be manipulated by your spiritual father, spiritual mother, grandmother, spiritual grandfather, whoever in the family of God, any other spiritual leader or person in ministry. You are enough. Reclaim your power, soul, and identity, and reclaim the power, soul, and identity of your calling. I challenge you to grab your keys to the kingdom and get your inheritance. Again, I'm Katina Horton, the Love and Freedom Toxic Relationship Recovery Coach. Be blessed, share the message, hit the like button. Until next time.